This program was first broadcast on Canterbury's access media station, Plains FM, and was made with the assistance of New Zealand On Air.
Now it's time for Spiritual Learning with Priestess Lily.
Welcome to my radio show, Priestess Lily, Sacred Heart Healer, Space Holder, and Spiritual Life Coach. Hi, I'm Priestess Lily. Welcome. This radio show podcast I have created to help assist humanity rise the consciousness through connection and holding space for thought-activating conversations with heart-centered leaders, wisdom keepers, and divine humans expanding into their authenticity and soul purpose. This sacred vessel is a soulful activation, a recalling, a reclaiming parts of ourselves that we have forgotten in order for us to heal and walk in the cyclic nature of ourselves, Mother Earth, and the universal energy. Today's guest, Lorne Honey. Loren is a qualified life coach, international breathwork facilitator, and an award finalist author. Her ebook, Sacred Seasons, explores everything related to the menstrual cycle and is hailed as a book for anyone who menstruates or those who love people who menstruate. Loren's work and words weave together menstrual cycles, ancestral lineage, healing, and Indigenous Maori worldview with her trademark feisty vision of elevating others into their full sovereignty. Welcome, Loren.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Well, I'm really looking forward to this conversation because I've been following your work for quite some time, and it's been because obviously, you know, biker and watching you evolve as a human and just evolve in your own work. It's been really lovely to witness, and just how pure you are in sharing your journey.
Thank you. That's really beautiful to hear. It's important to me to show the wholeness of it all, not just the shiny Instagram highlight reel.
And I think that's the thing. I think what we're really, I know that what I'm being really called for within my work is not the one-dimensional, we just look like this, because we're multi-dimensional. And, there are messy bits in us, and there are conversations that we feel like we can't have. And really, if we're here to evolve, and if we're really here to show up in our purest form and our whole sovereign self, we've got to share the messy bits, the unfiltered bits, the all parts of ourselves. Would you agree, honey?
100%. Yes. And that's something I get quite fiery about too. Is like I see a lot of people saying like love and light and positivity only, good vibes only. Honey, you're ignoring a whole 50%. There's a whole other side too, and you can't have one without the other. It's just spiritual bypassing.
Oh,
and I'm not here for that.
Oh my God, totally. Spiritual bypassing. Holy shit. I remember first hearing that term probably about 5-6 years ago. Actually in Priestess Temple School with Julie Parker and Sora. And I remember thinking at the time, what the hell does this mean? And then Googling it, feeling into it and thinking I'd come, something would show up. And, when I really started to discern into that energy, I realized that that's the spiritual bypassing is really what's kept us for so long trapped in the matrix, trapped in mainstream, trapped in the belief system, not wanting to be different, not wanting to show up in our truest form.
Yeah. And it feels a bit like people pleasing to me as well.
Oh, well, shit, Ben, sister, I've got the book on that one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think we all do, hey, in our own ways.
It's some definite unraveling for me. And I think I still watch myself slip up on it. And I just go, Lily.
Same here. Oh, my God.
So how has your work evolved through the years? Or how have you evolved?
Oh, how long do we have? I think when I first started, when I was first starting to train life coaching with Biker, I was pretty fresh out of a pretty nasty divorce. And I was figuring out who I was all over again in my late 20s. And I feel like the last however many years since I started my business, I don't even know how long it's been now. It's been a journey of rediscovering who I am and unlearning a lot of bullshit. I started out just wanting to help other women, and it's evolved into something still the same in essence, but much bigger at the same time. And not just women, it's everyone and anyone, however we identify. Yeah, it's I love it. And I feel like I'm only just beginning to.
Isn't it interesting? Because I'm very similar. I knew at a very young age that I saw the world differently, but it wasn't until my 20s when I was going through divorce that there was this yearning within me to, connect more to my spiritual body, to my emotional self, the parts that for so long I'd been told I couldn't be or show up in, or, it was too mucky, it was too raw, it was too full on, it was too whatever. But that activation, that space really for me was that part of me finding myself to some capacity.
Yeah, it's an interesting journey, hey, and yeah, it's got all these different twists and turns and plot twists, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
No, totally, because I feel like, that's the part we're here to be. We're here to evolve. Every day we're evolving. We're an evolving species. We're living on Mother Earth. She is consistently evolving.
Yeah. And the seasons, like everything, the tides, the moon, everything is constantly changing, and so are we. And who are we to think we're going to stay the same? It's futile.
And it's our cyclic nature within our own body, and it's the connection, and it's everything that I feel like we're being called back to an old ancestral knowing, an old lineage that we have, forgotten, that we're being pulled through to reclaim.
Yes. And how beautiful that we can reclaim our ancestral connections, our ancestral wisdom and knowledge, and bring this into this modern world that we find ourselves in today, and try to help get us out of the kind of shit show that we're in at the moment.
Oh, I totally agree. And when you think about our ancestral connection and our footprint on Mother Earth, and, our own individual healing and our healing of our lineage line. And I know you wrote about this in This I Know to Be True. I don't actually think, we, probably you and I do, because we've done that work, but I don't think the collective knows how much healing that can be, not only for ourselves, but for humanity, for us moving forward as a vibrational frequency. Like, it's when we heal ourselves, it has such a ripple effect in the cosmos and the world and everything that we don't see.
Yeah, absolutely. When we do ancestral healing work, we're literally going through our whole lineage, whether it's the entire lineage or specific lines going back. We're healing a lot of our ancestors, and in turn that's going to have a bit of a ripple effect on not only the rest of our family and the rest of our ancestors, as well as the people that our ancestors lived with and associated with in each of those lifetimes, as well as our friends in this lifetime and the coming generations. It's got such a bigger impact than we could possibly imagine. I love that.
Oh, totally. And I know that for me, when I started healing and going deeper into, my ancestral, I want to say trauma and the threads that were being carried through, there was healing around me finding my voice. There was healing around me finding my place and space in this world. There was healing around, I didn't realize how much my own mother's wounds was I like carrying forward, bringing, carrying and my place where I live, the place where I reside, the place where the land. I didn't realize how much ancestral trauma was actually on the land, the great mother that needed to be healed. And I think this is something that we have our own healing. This is something that we also forget as living on a living, breathing organ.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because I really resonate with that in my own life as well. And I feel like every time I move to a new place, or like when I moved to Australia for a while, and every time I'm drawn anywhere, even if it's on holiday, I don't know how this works, but it seems every time I'm drawn to these new places, just from me being there and doing some of the rituals and practices I do, it in turn helps heal the land that I'm on. And whether there's connection there with my own ancestral lineage or just the lineage of the people that have lived on that land, it doesn't matter. It's something I still don't even quite know how to put into words, because I feel like our English language just doesn't have words for things that are hard to describe, not 3D.
Yeah, I totally agree. When I think, I always believe that whether the places I have lived, they've picked me. Like I've been deeply called to that space or place. And I believe that Mother Earth chooses who can live on her, or where you can live on, like where you can live on her, or how we live on her. And we're really noticing right now, and probably more like just talking about Australia, after the bushfires, there were some places that it was clear that people couldn't go back. The floods that are happening over in Australia right now, Mother Earth is really telling us where we can live and where we can't live, and like purging us off her.
Yeah. And when she wants to communicate, her throat chakra is not blocked. She lets us know.
And, you know, when you think about it, it's the same with the Canterbury quake.
Yeah.
Totally the same. Like there's
Yep.
so much trauma that so much pain that Mother Earth released on us, and that, you know, however many minutes shake, but she was very, you know, defined on, she didn't want to be treated that way anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it interesting how the earth communicates, and then how humans, generally speaking, the general population, interpret that or misinterpret that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a problem to be solved instead of listening to hear.
It's quite it's quite fascinating, because I think we've just looked at, this is an interesting, I didn't think the conversation would go here, but this is interesting. I just say that. Isn't it interesting? I think we have just disregarded Mother Earth. We don't see her as a living being. We don't see her as you know, as something something that we are living on. And, you know, she is providing food for us, and you know, shelter and water and everything, but we just abuse her.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I feel like that's why we're seeing more and more people starting to talk about re-indigenizing and the decolonizing conversations, and coming back to this more ancestral ways of living.
And that's quite, you know, when I think about New Zealand, because obviously New Zealand's my birthplace, and when I think about all the places I've actually gone to live, Meraki, Rangiora, which I just live down the road from Tuahiwi, the local marae. I've got a house up in the Sounds. I'm transitioning to the Sounds. It's really interesting because I've been called to these areas, and you know, it's like the ancestral, the whakapapa, the guardians of the land are calling me to be there. Even so, I have no connection or, you know, to obviously a tribe or, you know, or a Maori lineage. It's like I'm being called back. I find it quite fascinating.
Yeah. How beautiful. That's really powerful, and I feel like the land knows who is respectful and who isn't, and the land will communicate that in her own ways. And I really notice the differences in the land throughout New Zealand specifically. And I can kind of feel the different essences and the differences between the tribes and the hapus and the iwis, and each marae has a different feel. And I don't know if I feel that stronger and stronger because of my own Māori lineage, or if I'm just connected to the land. I don't know, but it's been really beautiful to notice these subtleties throughout Aotearoa. That's beautiful.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And so for you, has your lineage been something that you have grown up grown up with, and it's been a real practice. Like, I don't want to, it's just been part of your everyday being. Or is it something you've been drawn to? The more, the older, the older you've got. Like, have you been brought up in it, or?
No, I haven't been brought up in it. I wish I was. The primary school I went to was definitely a lower socio-economic kind of area, and it was a much larger Māori and Pacific Islands kind of community. So primary, there was a lot of te ao Māori. I was in the kapahaka group, all of that stuff. And then once I left primary, the other schools that I went to were so disconnected from Māori. So, and my family doesn't have a strong connection. My dad, who is where my Māori lineage comes from, he can't pronounce Māori words right at all. It's hilarious / cringy / sad. But dad's told me stories of how his grandma, his grandparents, would beat dad's parents anytime they would go to say Sankan Māori. Like, our culture was beaten out of us. And so since my late 20s, I've started to reclaim that. And it's uncomfortable.
I love that you're reclaiming it, though.
Yeah.
Because that's that healing. And I think, I can't speak from my own heritage, but I think me, definitely being a witch, that rewounding energy is very much here for me for the last 6 months. That rewounding energy has been very much here. But isn't it beautiful that you're getting to reclaim it to, to heal it for your future generations, for your family?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why I am so passionate about reclaiming it more and more and more. And doing things like going down to our marae and reconnecting in with it all instead of just learning the language. It's interesting. There's a lot of am I Māori enough? Am I too white appearing? It's a whole thing.
I love that you're brave to have this conversation, because there's so many people that'll be listening to this exactly, what you're saying. They will absolutely be resonating with it. And for me, I find the Maori culture absolutely, totally the way forward to live. The spiritual, mental, emotional, physical body, like I'm just fascinated by it. I'm just like, we all lived like that, and we all went, and when there was someone passed away, if we were allowed to grieve like that, holy shit, we'd actually be so much more better of understanding our own emotions as a human being.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If we forgot the bloody bullshit that comes with my story as being a bloody, my lineage, we'd actually be started to live the way that the Indigenous people before us did, there'd be so much healing.
Yep. In so many ways, in ways that we can't even imagine. And coming back to what you just said about me being brave enough to share this, in the way that I am, I think it's really important because there are so many of us who whakapapa Māori, meaning we have Māori in our bloodline, yet don't appear it or didn't grow up with it at all. So there's a lot of shame and a lot of mixed emotions around even trying to say that we are Māori, let alone to reclaim our Indigenous roots. So it's important to normalize it and be able to talk about it and start to destigmatize.
Yeah.
As uncomfortable as it is, it's important.
Oh, it's totally important. And you know, when I think about just us as a nation now celebrating the Maori New Year, and I always say it wrong, so I'm not even going to attempt to say it. Is it
Matariki? Matariki.
And Thomas, my son, is totally all over it. And I just think, wow, you know, we need to honor more of our heritage as a country. We need to honor more of our own wisdoms that this land carries, but also that the Indigenous people carry if we're to live in harmony on Aotearoa in New Zealand, you know, if we're to really live in the purest harmony.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's that reverence, I feel. And I always come back to that word.
Yeah, and it's us standing as in our own sovereignty. I love reverence. I love that word.
Oh, it's good, isn't it?
So when you say it's reverence, I'm those that are listening that are like, Can you expand on that, gorgeous?
Yeah, sure. So to me, reverence means it feels a lot like respect, like deep respect. Like the way you hold your own or someone else's newborn baby for the first time. You hold that baby with a lot of care, and you're careful with it, and you know there's a lot of love and respect there. So it's a deep respect and honoring. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good way to put it.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like that's also the lessons right now that we're actually learning in the collective as a whole, but also us as individuals. You know, we're learning to respect ourselves and find our voice, respect our body differently, respect our knowing differently. Like we are deeply as the human being deeply challenged right now to like the dark night of the soul stuff, to honor what we feel. And I think for many people that I see, that is really challenging when you feel like you need to conform, or you feel like you need to do something to fit in, or you feel like you need to, you know, we've forgotten how to respect ourselves at that real sovereign reverence deep level, let alone respect Mother Earth.
Yeah, and there's a lot that goes into it, and I feel like one of the big things is that we're so disconnected from ourselves and our intuition and our inner power, our sovereignty. So there's so many people walking on this earth that are so afraid to do anything outside of the norm, afraid to speak their mind, afraid to do anything differently, afraid to stop watching the news.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of people deep down know that there is a lot of things wrong with the world. There's a lot of really ugly truths going on, but they don't want to acknowledge that it's true, so they just keep going on with how life is, because it's easier than acknowledging just perhaps how kind of fucked up things are. Not entirely, of course, but there's a lot.
Oh, totally. And when you think about just our country, like all the systems around us are collapsing. And they're actually collapsing for a reason, because we're ascending to a higher vibration. And they were always collapsing. They were always broken. It's just that now it's in like the veil's been lifted and it's happening, and it's not just one thing. We can shove a band-aid on it. It's like the school system, it's everything is collapsing. It's because, you know, when we think about it, like it's not serving us anymore as human beings. It's actually not serving us at a higher frequency as our own consciousness expands. But it's also, you know, it never was serving us.
No, it's time for all of these old systems to go. It's only serving a very tiny percentage of the population, and they don't need any more help. There's a lot of systematic oppression, and there's just so much that is wrong with it all. And so now that everything is starting to crumble, and I think we're only at this very starting point, where I feel like we're in that chrysalis stage, you know, when the caterpillar goes into its chrysalis before it becomes a butterfly. And that chrysalis, it's a big, gooey, messy, ugly horror scene in there. That transmutation time is ugly. That's why it's hiding in a chrysalis. I feel like that's where we're at. And yeah, it's interesting to see how so many people are really uncomfortable with it. And I get it, it's not comfortable, it's not easy, but it's part of it. So I don't know what my big message is. I think it's much bigger than I can put into words.
But I totally hear you and agree, because I feel, for me, if we're to heal, if we're here to continue to live on Mother Earth to start with, that's one thing. We have to evolve ourselves, which really means a bigger, deeper conversation about how, who, what, where, everything that we live, you know, as a whole. But I also feel like, you know, we're in the muck, we're in the mud, we're in the transitions, we're in the void.
Yep.
This is a time right now, if we're to heal humanity or heal the collective or break down structures and live really in harmony on Mother Earth long term, we're here to heal ourselves individually. We're here to heal ourselves, have the deeper conversations with us, heal our ancestral line. So therefore, rather than look at others in judgment and go, oh, you're wrong, I'm right, you know, cast shade, cast shame, like you said, you know, the shame. We need to hold a different frequency. We can't keep doing this to ourselves, because we're re-wounding humanity. We're re-wounding our own self. We're hurting Mother Earth. I think, like, we need to be in the thick of it, in the mud, if we're order to survive, even as a species.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And I feel like there's a lot of there's a lot of like shaming and blaming and finger pointing and you're wrong and I'm right and superiority and ego, and like, what if you don't agree with someone else, and maybe, just maybe, what you believe and what they believe are both true at the same time in different ways.
Yeah.
Multiple things can be true at once. Multiple opposing things
Yeah.
can be true at the same time.
Well, look at Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
Yeah.
You know, that just got announced today. What is it? They're both getting, both countersued and they both get money. No one's right, no one's wrong, because it's emotions. Everyone sees it from a different point of view. And what if you Google probably Johnny Depp, for instance, there'll probably be thousands and thousands of people that, articles pro, but thousands and thousands negative. Same with Amber Heard, thousands pro saying, yes, this, and this, and thousands that are not pro.
Yeah. Yeah. That just turned into a whole circus, didn't it?
Yeah, that was a circus. That was like, holy moly. That was what I would call another distraction.
Mm-hmm.
A distraction for us not to stop and actually do our own bloody work.
Yes. Yep. It was a lot more entertaining than any Netflix show for a lot of people.
Yeah. What was I going to say? For those that are listening that have got no idea about ancestral healing, how did you start connecting? What did you do?
How did it start for me? I think it just started with noticing patterns within my immediate family and noticing some of the similarities that we all have. And the opposite too, some of the ways that I'm very different to a lot of others in my family. I think I've just always been very curious. And I see things in a different way, perhaps. I really don't know, It just all kind of happened. I can't even remember when I first heard about ancestral healing. I think I already was kind of onto ancestral healing without knowing that's what I was doing. I honestly don't think there was any way to get out of doing ancestral healing for me in this lifetime. No matter what kind of way I chose to live my life, I think I was always going to end up healing a lot of my ancestral lineage in various different ways.
Yeah.
And the more I learn about it, the more passionate I get about it. And it's also interesting too, because I haven't really offered it as an offering in my business per se yet.
Haven't you?
No.
Because that's what my next question was going to be, how do you include your breath work as a modality in your, because I know that you run circles, but how do you, and I know you do a lot with Franco, and I see, and I'm like, shit, I need to get up to the top of the north. I keep thinking I've got to head up there. I keep looking at all the amazing events you guys run, and I'm just like, yeah, one day we'll get there. But I see that he's coming down here. I think it's next month.
Yeah.
He's coming down here. How do you offer your breath work, or in your circles and everything?
So it's I find it really interesting how it happens. A lot of the people that are drawn into coming to my breathwork spaces, a lot of the women who come often have some kind of womb, their menstrual cycles, motherhood wounding, or do I want to be a mum? Do I not want to be a mum? All of that kind of very feminine stuff, as well as a lot of people who have ancestral healing to do, whether they're aware of it or not. So I notice those two kind of main themes coming up a lot in the spaces I hold. And of course, right? Like, of course, those kind of things are going to be magnetized into the space I hold, since that's where a lot of my own personal lived experience lies, as well as my areas of interest.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting how that just naturally plays out without me even doing anything, you know?
Yeah.
And the reason why I haven't got ancestral healing as its own offering in my business yet, and I likely will eventually, but I'm huge on really embodying something before I monetize it.
Yeah.
Which is something I see a lot of people doing in this spiritual, conscious, personal development, kind of world. Like,
Yeah.
you read one book and then you're an expert on
You're
the
an
topic.
expert,
Like,
or you go do a course
yeah,
and then woohoo, I'm now I can do this. Yeah, totally.
yeah.
Yeah.
And cool. Sometimes that's true, but I think a lot of the time we need to chill out a little bit. Maybe read a few more books. Really embody and integrate whatever it is that you're learning or have learned into your own personal lived experience before you start charging others for it. Just because you have a skill doesn't mean it needs to be monetized.
Yeah, totally. Look, I hear you 110%. I'm an absolute believer in what you've just said. I quite often, people say to me, "Oh, I didn't know you were spiritual. Like, what did you study?" And I go, nothing. I didn't study anything. I've had it since I was 5 years old. It's only now that I'm confident to birth it into the world. It's only now that I feel I've got lived experience. I feel that if someone comes to me and I go, oh, I am a trained counselor. So I very much can flick from, depending on what people need. I've got many different hats that I can flick into for me to feel confident now to actually show up being all of who I am, what makes probably, because of holding space in a counseling session for so many years and people's trauma was what the activation point for me to really realize, oh, that's what grief feels like on my body. Oh, that's what child abuse feels like. If I just walked into it and said, right, I'm a medium, that could have just gone so friggin' pear-shaped on so many different avenues. So I totally, absolutely agree with everything that you're saying here. And I think, we have been gaslit for so long about spirituality, it looking like this, and it's been sold to us, dare I say it, through Hay House, through as like fluffy, all squeaky clean. This is how you manifest, as a 110 to step pro 10 steps. They forget about the dark night of the soul stuff and the in-between shit that's actually like the holy shit, what do I do now?
Yeah. It's all pink and unicorn and rainbows and prettiness.
Yeah.
And yeah, sure, that's part of it. But that's part of it being the key word, right? Like, It's all the darkness, all the shit, the trauma.
And it's hard because you second guess yourself, and it's like, shit, I've just got to keep showing up. And that's the one thing you've just got to commit. Spirituality is, there's never an end point.
No.
You just got to keep committing and keep showing up, because it's part of your healing. It's part of you evolving. It's part of the discovery. It's part of you being the purpose.
Yep, absolutely.
I love that you've shared that, because I was like, I think right now more than ever, as we're starting to see the world like breathe, and more people are being triggered in trauma, more and more people are putting their hand up saying they've got a solution. And, it's like, heal the healer first.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. I'm so glad.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like throughout the pandemic, lots of people all of a sudden became a coach or whatever, because it's something you can just do from your own home. All you need is laptop and Wi-Fi, and that's great. Just because you can slap a title on your Instagram bio and whip up a website quickly on Squarespace doesn't mean that you can or should be doing it. That's why I talk a lot about integrity and really looking into any of these kind of practitioners that you're going to work with, or go to their events or anything. Actually look into what their lived experience is and their trainings are, so they actually know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. Like, you wouldn't go, for me, my body, my energy field is part of my sacredness, my temple, it's connected. It's my temple space. My body's the temple. I don't allow anyone to go rogue on this. It's, I very much go to people that I completely trust, that I know that have integrity in their work, that I know that are authentic, that I know that would treat me the way that I would treat them. Like, that I'm quite okay about them working with my child, that they're not going to fill people's head up with gunk and stuff and their own trauma and their own bullshit.
Yeah, it's so important, and I wish more and more people spoke about it or even thought about it. It's not like, it's not buying something based on it being easiest, cheapest, most accessible, whatever. Quality. It's quality.
And I remember about a year ago, my most asked question in every friggin' reading for probably, out of, 5 sessions, out of, the 10 sessions a week, out of 5 sessions, it would be, should I get the vaccine? My own view on that, my own view on that for me, for my own personal thoughts around that, I would say to people, instantly they're giving me the power to make a decision for them, and I've got power over them. I don't operate like that. That's not my operating system. That's like, that for me is just warning bells, red lights, I'm walking backwards. Because that triggered, that's like, that's not an offering I want. But like, my thing that I'd say to people, and it probably frustrated probably 9/10 of my clients, was like, you need to go and meditate. You need to go and meditate or journal or connect to your heart or connect to your intuition or go and do something, because I'm not answering that question. My own view on that is my own personal view, but I can't make that decision for you. I knew what it felt like for me, and I knew my own journey around making that decision, and it was like bloody dark night of the soul, tenfold, whatever. But like, I was like, that's everyone's personal journey. That's everyone's part of them reclaiming their intuition. That should not be given away.
Yeah.
That's an opportunity for growth. And if you choose to, embody it and what the decision that comes through for you, cool. If you choose not to, that's the thing you have to live with.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how does it feel in your body when you think about getting the vaccine? Does it make you feel like, yes, that makes me safer?
Yeah.
Yes, it feels like I feel relaxed and like I can soften thinking about it? Or does it make your body contract and your stomach to be in knots? Does it feel like no, this doesn't feel right, I don't know why, I don't trust it? What does your body tell you?
Yeah, and I think that's really important. Like, I think we and this is just like, how I always conduct myself. Our body is an intuitive being. It gives us signals every friggin' day. We just aren't listening. I say to people, if you've got anxiety, something around you needs to shift. Something around you is not right. Your body's trying to tell you something's not aligned. If you're not feeling, if like, that's where I think we have given so much power away to, the system, authority, people, jobs, like everything, that we've actually forgotten who the hell we are as energetic beings. And we've forgotten to start trusting ourselves. And, that comes back to, if we start to heal our ancestral lineage, we get to reclaim the shit we've forgotten.
Yeah. If only more and more could do this. And it's happening. There's definitely changes happening, and more people starting to come back to their intuition and come back to the innate wisdom of their own body and their sovereignty in whatever way that is for them.
Yeah.
Power to them. I love that.
And I love that too, because I feel like more than even right now, we have forgotten to cultivate a conversation with ourselves. Like, we've forgotten how to connect to, our inner voice, our sovereign self. And we have given away so much power when really we hold it all in here.
Yeah. And it's been taken from us in so many different ways too. It's so sneaky. I feel like the oral contraceptive pill is another way that we've had our intuition and our body wisdom taken from us.
Yeah.
It literally turns off your cycle. You do not menstruate. You might bleed, but you're not menstruating. Your hormones are not happening when you're on the pill. It completely changes us as women, and that's scary.
Oh my God, I love this conversation, because I think that's the thing. Like, when we actually think about it, woman, well, I don't think anyone's designed to be in a system. I'm just going to say that. I don't think we're anywhere near designed to be in a system. I think we've entered the system by default. But and I think, we're molded to fit into the system. We're not everyone's emotional, spiritual, physical, mental bodies can fit the one mold, can fit the one standard print. We learn differently. We feel differently. Some of us are more, intuitively run than mentally. That's a stronger body than the mental body. And I just think, our physical body, what might work for you, I might be completely, you're on a different, nothing's connecting. I think that we've forgotten that we're all different.
Yeah, we really have. And even things like how our world in the last few hundred years in the Industrial Revolution, our world is set up for men.
Yeah.
Very linear. It's very, we should do the same schedule week in, week out, every day. Like it's set up around the masculine hormone cycle. And their hormone cycle is 24 hours. Men's hormone peaks early in the morning, like 6 a.m. or something every morning. So that's why it's ideal for men to work out in the morning and have a big breakfast and go do lots of work and meetings and get shit done. And then into night, their hormones drop. So that's time to not work and go home and chill and watch TV and have a beer. Our cycle is we all have different cycles. All of us women, we're not all menstruating at the same time. Our cycle is however long our menstrual cycle is. So some of us it's 36 days, some of us it's 27 days, and we're all different. We're not made to do the same thing every day in this very linear way like the men are. We're just not.
I think that's part of what we've forgotten that we need to reclaim.
Yep.
For those that are listening,
Indigenous knew this too.
Oh, pardon, what'd you say, love?
And Indigenous knew this about women as well and how we best operate. And they structured societies and tribes and ways of living pre-colonization around that. You can bring that back a bit.
Totally. But you see, woman had the power.
Yep.
Woman had the power, and that's what man didn't like.
Yeah.
That's what we're being called back to, is bringing it back to harmony and balance.
Absolutely.
For those that are listening, what final words of wisdom would you share?
I would encourage everyone listening to tune into what their own wisdom is instead of anything we've shared, anyone else shares. What do you know to be true? What feels right? Can you notice those subtle ways that your body communicates with you? What's a yes and what's a no? For those in a female body, are you connected with your cycle? Do you understand the little clues your cycle gives you? And maybe if you're able to, go outside, take your shoes off and just stand on the bare ground, grass, soil, whatever, sand. And just take a few deep breaths, hands on your belly, and notice what you notice.
I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. Loren, those that are listening, how do they connect to you?
So I am on Instagram the most. So my Instagram handle is Lorne Honey, LOREN HONEY _ or my website, lorenhoney.com. Yeah, I love hearing from anyone.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, and thank you for your time. And I know that many people listening to this, there will be so many gems of wisdom and insight. And, that so many people would have resonated with so much that you just shared.
Thank you so much for having me on, Lily. And thank you to all the listeners for taking time out of your day to listen to us.